Hi. Jordan Addison becomes the crown jewel of USC's dramatic offseason makeover. But numbers aside, how does he fit with the new look Trojans? In addition to that, well, Aaron Donald's contract status is still up in the air, and America's least favorite Little League dad is now sticking his nose back in the Lakers' business once again. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is faithful Angelenos. I am sitting in a miserable morning in a miserable Midwestern city, but it just doesn't matter, does it? Because once again, even though LA did not play a single game in any sport, Los Angeles is still the center of the sports universe. And by the way, we added a boatload of new subscribers yesterday. I'm very thankful for that. Thank you for joining in. If you like the content that we've been putting out for the last 3 months, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. Because we put out new videos between 9 and 10 a.m. every day. It'll let you know it's there. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comments. See, I created this channel because I like talking sports. I don't have a problem conversing with you guys at all. Look forward to it. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, there were no games with LA teams yesterday. Today, however, the Dodgers are back in action. They travel to Philadelphia. They'll play the Phillies at 4. And meanwhile, the Sparks play Seattle in WNBA. That'll be at 5. Sports Illustrated and ESPN are both reporting that Aaron Donald could still retire because he does not have a restructured contract. So it wasn't just all about, oh, let's get everybody back together and, try and get a second Super Bowl. I just don't see Aaron Donald retiring. I just think this is saber rattling for a little more money. To be frank, I don't have a problem with it. It's the best defenseman in the game. Of course you'd want to pay that guy. LeVar Ball, remember him? I bet you don't want to remember him. I sure don't. He has weaseled his way back into the national press by claiming that a player, for once he's talking about a player that he didn't even sire, claiming that that guy is going to leave his team and go to the Lakers next year. And I don't even really feel like mentioning who the player is because it's LeVar Ball. Does this guy have any credibility? I mean, all we heard about for 3 years was how, Lonzo and LaMelo and La Failure and La Luz, they just haven't lived up to the hype. And I don't even like talking about them that way because they're grown men. But for Pete's sake, his dad just would not shut the bleep up. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, he's talking now about other players because his own kids haven't lived up to the hype. You're a Little League dad. You don't have sources. You don't get to drop Woj bombs. I realize that you're so disappointed in your own offspring that instead of living vicariously through them, you've now decided to live vicariously through other people's kids. And by the way, in case you're wondering, it's Zach LaVine. But what does that mean? Are you now changing your name to LeVar Levine? Just watch your kids. Live your life. What a disappointment. Hey, here's something that's disappointing. A few weeks ago, we mentioned on here that there was an agreement for LAFC to keep Carlos Vela. It was reported on MLSsoccer.com, which is the league's official website. Here's the problem. He didn't sign it. Carlos Vela could still leave LAFC at the end of June when his current contract expires. I mean, he's saying all the happy talk nice things about how he loves LA and the fans and all that. But you allegedly agreed to the contract. Why don't you sign it? Could somebody answer that for me? Dodgers made a couple of minor moves. They've sent Ryan Pepio, a starting pitcher, back to Oklahoma City, their AAA affiliate. He'll probably be back with the team relatively quickly. And they have also designated for assignment relief pitcher Shane Green. He was a one-time all-star closer. He's only appeared in one game for the Dodgers this year. Now let's get to the main topic. Now look, as a former sports writer, I know when I type out numbers or when there's a number graphic on the page or something like that, it looks dynamic, it really makes the point. Reading numbers on a video, not so much. So I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I really want to get you guys at least a foundation of just how dynamic this offense could be before we tell you where Jordan Addison fits. Okay? Because pretty much what USC did was they brought back all of their offensive linemen, and virtually every skill position, they recruited through the transfer portal. You take, for example, their new starting quarterback, Caleb Williams, who they got from Oklahoma, basically came over with Coach Lincoln Riley. Last year, the guy he didn't even start the entire year. He only started 2/3 of the year. And he almost threw for 2,000 yards. Threw for 21 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. So if you look at it, right now, this guy is a Heisman Trophy favorite, along with Ohio State's quarterback C.J. Stroud and maybe Alabama's Bryce Young. But once I break this down for you, you can easily see why his numbers are going to eclipse those other guys. Now, if Caleb doesn't feel like throwing, he's got 2 transfer running backs to choose from. You got Travis Dye from Oregon. Last year, he ran for 16 touchdowns. The man averaged 8.7 yards per carry last year for Oregon. And he's also a good receiver. Now, if he's not there, then you sit there and go, okay, we'll just bring in Austin Jones, a transfer from Stanford. Now, he had only 645 total yards, both receiving and rushing last year, but that was for a terrible Stanford team, which means he was probably their focal point. And then you go, of course, to the receivers. Originally, we were thinking, okay, maybe Mario Williams was the number 1 receiver. After all, he knows the playbook. He transferred in from Oklahoma. Mario Williams is only a sophomore. As a freshman, he was the number 17 overall recruit coming in as a freshman in 2021. And last year, he wasn't the top receiver in Oklahoma because he was just a freshman, but he still caught 35 passes. So he was averaging over 3 receptions a game as a freshman, scored 4 touchdowns. So was he the number 1? Well, we weren't sure because, of course, then they go out and they get Brendan Rice. You might have heard of his father, Jerry. Yeah, Brendan played for a pretty bad Colorado team. He's a sophomore. He's still got 21 catches, 3 touchdowns mixed in. So you were looking at all this talent coming in and you're saying to yourself, we think we might have a number 1 receiver, but do we really? Nah, let's just go out and get the reigning defending Biletnikoff Award winner. Crazy. Jordan Addison's numbers blow every other receiver out of the water, not just at USC, but from sea to shining sea. Addison caught 100 passes last year, including 17 touchdowns, and basically had almost 1,600 yards receiving. So this really makes USC arguably unstoppable. And I asked people that I knew. I've asked people who played college football and have people who played in the NFL about it. And one friend who used to play in the Pac-10 and had some time in the NFL as a wide receiver, I asked him if anybody could stop USC in the Pac-10 or Pac-12. Now, he thinks Oregon can stop them, but here's the thing. USC doesn't play Oregon in the regular season. They might in the conference championship game, but not in the regular season. So that takes care of that. And then he thought, well, maybe Oregon State, because of course Oregon State's head coach is Herm Edwards, who used to be a head coach in the NFL, and he was a defensive-minded coach, so you figured maybe he could scheme something that might confuse Caleb Williams. But here's the problem with Arizona State. The Sun Devils lost a ton of players in an academic scandal. They knew the school was going down, so they just said to hell with it and left for other teams. My friend, though, has a point. How do you stop the USC offense? He's basically under the idea that if you can pressure Caleb Williams with 4 and then disguise the coverage, maybe you confuse Caleb Williams. And I will say the reason that has some validity to it is the knock on him last year from an opposing coach in the Big 12. The guy said that Caleb, he struggled if his first receiver wasn't open. In other words, checking down to receiver 2, checking down to receiver 3. If the first guy wasn't open, Caleb would either get confused or just start running with the football. And I think that's a fair argument. Here's the problem with that argument. Caleb Williams was a freshman then. He's a sophomore now. He knows the playbook a little better. So there's the option of him checking down to other receivers. See, checking down to other receivers is going to be important in Lincoln Riley's offense. Okay? Lincoln Riley will run plays in what we'll call them layers. Okay, what does that mean? Well, you have either a running back or a slot receiver running a short route, 5 yards, just a flare route out to the side. And then you have a second receiver running a route that's, say, 12 to 15 yards. And then the third one just goes deep. Layers, short, intermediate, and long. Why does this matter? Because most teams in college football do not run man-to-man defense. They run zone. They don't have the athletic ability to match up with an elite offense. They're going to run a zone. Now, here's the problem when you run a zone. You've got 3 receivers here flooding the area, and the one on the opposite side hauling ass to the other side as well. You have possibly 4 receivers against 2 or 3 defenders. One of them's going to be open. Okay? So, this is called the sail concept, this little play that I've drawn up, which is in fact something that not only USC runs, but it's a staple in many college offenses. It's even a staple in the NFL. The Rams run this play a lot. They run it a lot. So what you're trying to accomplish with this, again, with 2 defenders on one side, taking a look at the short defender, the one who's closest to the line of scrimmage. If he takes the running back running out to the flat, the 12 to 15 yard route guy is open. If he just sits there and goes, okay, I'm going to sit back on this guy, all of a sudden Travis Dye is open. And you're just constantly moving the chains down the field. Now, having said that, you might say, well, James, doesn't that mean Jordan Addison is just a glorified, just somebody who's just going to run wind sprints all day and not do anything? No. Because every so often the defense is going to be exposed. They're going to run a man-to-man defense. And if they run a man-to-man defense, you've stuck one man on Jordan Addison, the best receiver in the game. If it's man-on-man coverage, Jordan Addison automatically knows what he's going to do. He's going to go deep. He's going to go for the bomb, and Caleb Williams is going to notice that. So that's pretty much how USC's offense is going to run in a basic premise, the sail concept. They're going to do that a lot. I don't necessarily know, we all know that Jordan Addison is now the one. I don't necessarily know, however, if Brendan Rice is either the slot receiver or if he's the other wide receiver out on the other side of the field. That's for Riley to decide, because it could go either way. As a final note, just want to let you know what is next for USC, because you might be thinking they want even more players. Well, they do need more players. But USC is now starting to run out of scholarships to offer. An unofficial count lists USC having given out 81 scholarships. They only have 4 scholarships left that they can offer. And they're probably going to do it on defense. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of what USC's new look offense is probably going to look like in the fall. If you did enjoy the episode, then yes, I'd like you to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We'll be back here tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I'm James. Faithful Angelenos is a Kia Corte El Queso production. Have a great day.